and the big money is controlling the message.
Yeah, we talked about evolution of consciousness. And as we move towards that, and we think about root causes of one's consciousness, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are in terms of the relationship between thoughts, words, and actions. Do you see one as being more or less important in terms of that evolution that we seek?
Actions are the most important. Bell Hooks said, what you do is more important than what you say or what you say you believe. How we show up in our actions is what informs our community and how we're going to show up. Lip service is really easy and it's basically worthless. As far as thoughts go, of course, that's important too, and I also believe that being in touch with our emotions is also very important, because there's a lot of things here, like we're talking about some serious things that are going on here in 2024, and you know, I live a part of my life with a knot in my stomach because of what's going on. I have a 21-year-old daughter. But at the end of the day, when it really comes down to it, how you show up and how you act is what determines how we all go forward together. And that's why so many of the qualities that I listed a little bit earlier have to do with showing up and acting in a certain way. And when we fall short, we forgive ourselves, we try and do better, we do better, and we get back up and we keep going. That also is an action, because I got to tell you, the last 8 years have been exhausting. I'm exhausted, right? But I'm not giving up. And there's that resolve by itself is an action that says, I'm here. My allies, I got your back. My friends, we're in it together. Let's go. Let's get to work.
Robert. Okay. This is another question I wanted to respond to. One question. I've always volunteered, among other things, to be a poll watcher in Prescott Valley, and I'm going to do so again this year. I'm going to also continue to do whatever else we normally do in election time. The other day at Fry's in Prescott Valley, I was approached by a lady getting ready to go into the store as I was getting ready to leave, and I had quite a few bumper stickers on my car. And she came up to me before saying anything, and she said, "Well, I am a Christian and I am a Trump supporter." I did ask her, "Could you tell me how you reconcile the two?" And she could not answer. Those were the only words I could get out, because she continued to call me communist, socialist, whatever, and proceeded to tell me that I and my friends who think like I do will be going to hell. After I got home, I put on another bumper sticker. During the time I was involved, all the years it took to get a King holiday, a legal holiday, I have received a folder full of hate mail. No one signed their name, and no one had a return address. So a lot of these enemies, for what we stand for, are cowards. I've had many death threats. I'm still here. I think it's very important that whatever we need to do to make sure Trump and the people who support him do not get elected is continue to do whatever we can to make sure he's not elected.
One thing that concerns me is that young people are always watching us, and the young people, at least in Prescott, I know that a lot of young people are voting nationwide, a lot more, but the young people in Prescott don't want to be involved at all. And they're disgusted with the amount of animosity, they're disgusted with the disrespect. And so it's really even difficult to get them to share an opinion. And it takes lots of open-ended questions and attempts over a long period of time to get them to share anything, whether it's about the environment or about local politics or about social justice issues or about things that directly impact their own identity. And it's because they're watching adults treat each other so poorly. And so I guess like we need them so badly to become engaged citizens. And how can we role model for them in a way that makes them want to step in and exercise their right to vote? So just planting that seed as you go about Prescott, how can you, and you're talking at your dinner table openly and freely, how can you do so in a way with a little bit of knowledge in the back of your head that young people are watching and listening more than you think they are?
I was 6 years old when I helped Calvin Good pass out these flyers in Phoenix. We walked up the Central Avenue there in South Phoenix, and the flyer said what Calvin Good was trying to be elected for, and it was for fair housing and fair education and good jobs and health care. And that was I was 6 years old, 1967, 68. And it's unfortunate that we're still looking for those things today. I still have the baby blue flyer with the black letters on it of what Calvin Good asked for years and years and years and years ago. And so my point is that, you know, my mother did the first sit-in in Phoenix, Arizona. Her name was Opal Ellis. She was just a phenomenal person. I know he knows Opal. But she was, our family just constantly has been into civil and social liberties and the civil rights movement. You might have saw my son on the front of the Arizona Republic for the Justice Department finally saying that he was right about all this, and the police brutality was there, and the police injustice was there. You know, it takes a while. It takes a while. It takes patience. You know, you've been tired for 8 years. People have been tired. I've been tired for almost 60 of the same things, asking for the same stuff. All they do is divide you and conquer you. They got global warming. They got so many things to worry about now. You can't get organized. That's their strategy, is to keep so many things going on that you can't get anything done. We're still looking for health care, still looking for housing, still looking for jobs, still looking for everything. You're not going to get it unless you come together and pick a subject and get it done. You have to finish something. And that's the problem with Democrats. We don't finish anything because as soon as we start trying to finish something, somebody else comes up with another problem. That they got one problem, the Republicans got one problem, and that's us. And that's it. We're the problem. They know where their problem is, but we don't know where our problems are. Everybody has a problem. So nothing gets solved that way. But I just wanted to say that because he was talking about how he helped Calvin Good and everything, and they worked together. And also, there's some misinterpretations on that King holiday too. Actually, my mother and Judge Williams, she was the first black judge in Phoenix, they got together. They wrote the first check. They did the candlelight vigil. And they weren't allowed by the black preachers to be the head of it because in those days, it wasn't for a woman to say, if you understand what I mean. They couldn't lead nothing, you know what I mean? So they had to let the preacher say it. So that's how Warren Stewart became the mayor of Phoenix or whatever title he wants to, but the knuckle busting and the scarred up knees, It comes from strong women making plates at the church and selling, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, I got some things I could tell you, believe me. But one thing I would like to tell you is that we've been waiting 60 years for housing, health care, jobs, just the simple stuff. So when you want to change the world with global warming and all that other stuff, let me tell you, it's very difficult. And you have to center yourself. You have to center yourself and get something solved. You understand what I mean? You got to get one thing solved and then move on to the next thing. Just like in your budget, in your family, the way you run your family, you got to do one thing at a time. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for telling that story.
I've heard on a continuous basis, Vietnam, Vietnam, Vietnam. I am a Vietnam veteran. I was there from 1968 to 1970 during the Tet Offensive. Now, my question to you panel is this. I heard homeless, I heard a lot of different things. But what do you feel can be done? There is right now, as I remember, I haven't looked up lately. The last time I looked, it was 56,000 homeless veterans that are out there. Now, some are out there by choice, but most are not. But the thing is, how do we get the government to take care of the veterans of today? Not just to Vietnam, but I'm talking about Iraq, Afghanistan, Desert Storm, all the veterans that fought in wars that our government sent us to do. We have to fight for every benefit we get. Most of us have had to go to lawyers in order to get benefits that we actually deserve because our government sets us with somebody that probably doesn't even been in combat to go deny, 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 deny. I heard Evangelist Lee talk about the homeless being fed. There's many out there as veterans that are in that same realm of not being able to eat, not having food, not having clothes. All of this. How do we get our government to take care of not only the homeless, but the homeless veterans? That's my question to you.
I just want to first respond to your first point. When you're talking about Vietnam was being discussed here. Now, during the Vietnam War, there was a myth going around that people who were opposed to the war considered all the soldiers baby killers, and they spit at them when they came home. And
I call that coming out of heroes. Baby killer, you should have died in Vietnam, all that. I've heard it.
You've heard it, and there was an element of that, but not for me. I just want to clarify that when I was doing draft counseling, and those people could not get out of the draft for one reason or another. I had one person who basically starved himself, and he got out of the draft. I had another person who cut 2 toes off, and he got out of the draft. You know, this is what happened. But when the ones who did not get out of the draft, and they went over there, I felt sorry for them, but I wasn't going to say they're baby killers because they were shooting. They were put in a bad situation. And as far as homeless, and you can comment on this, actually there's more funding in this town for veteran homeless than for other homeless, all right? Anybody who's homeless deserves a house. Doesn't matter if they're a veteran or not. Now the government has responsibilities to veterans. They have responsibilities to everybody else too. So I don't put veterans ahead of other homeless people. I'm sorry.
The mic has been passed to me. When I look at this, and I can feel everyone's frustration. And you have a right to be frustrated about things that you're dealing with, but you also have to be a voice. It doesn't take one person can't do it all alone. You have to be an active voice in what you believe in. If you have a passion in it, step out Let the action prove it and be a voice. Sitting behind the curtain doesn't get the job done. It's not gonna get the job done. It's not gonna help you with your frustration. It's not gonna help the person that's homeless that's in need. It's gonna take a lot of research, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of footwork to get behind all of that, to push for the right laws that people that are living in inhumane conditions, especially our veterans and those that are homeless, will have proper living. It's not right that we can sit and have a roof over our head, food to eat, and we look at other people and look down on them. We do that. We say we don't do that. We do that every day. We lay our head down on the pillow. We're sleeping, comfortable. Our bellies are full. We're not worried about being hot, being cold. We have that comfort. They don't. The veterans don't. Yes, some are out there by choice, yes. There's laws, there's resources for them to get the right help. We have to help them get connected with the right help. And if they choose not to do that, that's not on us. We've done our part. Just do our part. Be a voice.
Okay. Okay. Last one.
Okay. We're down at 3 o'clock. We're going to talk fast. I wanted to really comment on something something that you had said about connecting climate change and all these other problems, and how do we face all these problems, and what are we doing as a community? That's a phenomenal question, and I think it's one of the things that people are asking everybody right now, because divide and conquer, that's key. It's been key forever by people in power. Let's all get us fighting amongst each other. Let's talk about how each of us aren't doing everything we should be doing. Let's find scapegoats. Let's do this thing. Let's busy our minds. It was called the giddy multitude a couple hundred years ago, and it was what elites called the common people of the day. And it was like everybody like us, like everybody who wasn't in power, everybody who wasn't a landowner. They couldn't own land, so they couldn't vote. And the elites were terribly afraid of the people like us, the giddy multitude. Because together, if we can come together, we are so powerful. And what's happening right now with all the Republican attacks and things that you're seeing, they're happening because we've made so much progress on women's rights, on people's rights. That's what's happening. This is called backlash. And you plan for it. And you know you're going to fail sometimes, but it's really, really important for people to know that's why this is happening. They're scared to death because the majority doesn't want to live like this. So we need to love each other more. We need to stay connected as much as possible. We have to disagree in a civil fashion and understand that we have way more power. And yeah, it's going to be a struggle. And yeah, we have to vote, and vote like our lives depend on it, because they do. And 7 generations hence, I want my great-great-great-great-grandchildren to say, hey, Mom did something. Mom tried. It's not a guarantee. But we have to know that it's out there. And the backlash is what's bringing all this about. And as an MLK committee, can we address all these things? Absolutely not. But I can tell you, as a new person, that each of us are also involved in other things. I'm on this committee, I'm working with climate change, I'm doing this, you're doing this. So understand that there's a much bigger web of connection than what you're seeing in the media. It's really important, because we need to stay strong. Thank you.
Okay. We're supposed to be out of here in 2 minutes. So I'm going to need your help. If you are able and willing to take a chair, and there's 2 racks back there, and there's 1 up here. Okay? We have to put the room back the way we had it. If you're willing and able, and not just leave the chair. Thank you very much for being here. Look forward to our other MLK.
Taking your chair.
Thank you.
Okay, don't sit. Yeah.